Leadership is not a birthright reserved for the chosen few. It is a responsibility developed through intentional effort, humility, and growth. The greatest misconception about leadership is that it depends on titles, charisma, or natural talent. True leadership emerges from the willingness to serve, to inspire, and to stay committed when others hesitate. It begins the moment someone decides to take ownership rather than wait for permission. Anyone can step into leadership if they are willing to learn, unlearn, and keep improving. Leadership is about progress, not perfection, and the most influential leaders are simply ordinary people who chose to grow consistently. What makes leadership powerful is that it is deeply human. It is not about command but connection. People don't follow leaders because they are forced to. They follow because they feel seen, valued, and understood. A leader doesn't have to know all the answers but must create an environment where others feel safe to explore solutions. It requires empathy, clarity of purpose, and the courage to stand for something bigger than personal gain. Leadership is not inherited through genes, it is earned through actions. It is built when someone listens more than they speak, acts more than they promise, and lifts others rather than standing alone at the top. Growth as a leader requires failure. Every great leader has stumbled, faced doubt, and made mistakes. But instead of hiding from those moments, they learned from them. They asked better questions, reflected honestly, and adjusted their path. Leadership is less about being perfect and more about being teachable. The ability to grow, adapt, and stay grounded separates leaders from those who simply hold positions. When someone is intentional about learning, studying people, developing emotional intelligence, practicing communication, they become a leader that others willingly follow. At its core, leadership is about vision and courage. It is the ability to see what could be and inspire others to move toward it. It is choosing long-term impact over short-term comfort. It is staying calm in chaos, hopeful in uncertainty, and principled in pressure. Leaders illuminate the path, even when the road is unclear, because they carry purpose within them. That purpose gives them resilience. They believe deeply in the people around them and call out potential even before it's visible. The truth is, leadership is a daily choice. It is developed in how we treat people, how we handle challenges, and how we show up when no one is watching. It grows when we mentor others, serve without applause, and take responsibility for the culture we create. Anyone can learn these behaviors. Anyone can grow into leadership with patience, awareness, and consistent action. You don't need to be born a leader. You need to become one through practice. Leadership is learned, and the world needs more people willing to learn it. Because when one person decides to lead with intention, courage, and heart, they give others permission to rise too. Leadership is not something passed down like eye color or family traditions. It is built through experiences, choices, and the willingness to grow. Many people believe leaders are born with a special gift, but the truth is, leadership is shaped in ordinary moments. How we treat people, how we respond to challenges, and how we choose to show up every day. Real leadership begins when we decide to take responsibility rather than wait for someone else to fix things. It is not about power, it is about purpose. It is not about being in charge, it is about caring for those in our charge. When we understand that leadership is learned, we unlock the possibility that anyone, including us, can rise to it. Great leaders are not the loudest in the room. They are the most intentional. They listen more than they speak. They earn trust instead of demanding it. They build a culture where people feel safe to take risks and share ideas. Leadership is a skill set. Just like communication, empathy, or problem solving, these skills can be practiced, improved, and mastered over time. No one starts as a perfect leader. The leaders we admire today were once unsure, inexperienced, and even afraid. What set them apart was not talent, but commitment. They stayed curious, they learned from feedback. They surrounded themselves with people who challenged them to get better. They discovered their why and allowed it to guide every decision. Growth in leadership often begins in discomfort. It requires stepping into difficult conversations, making decisions without all the answers, and staying calm in uncertainty. Leadership is not about having control, it's about creating clarity when others feel lost. It is choosing long-term impact over short-term comfort. It is having the courage to stand up for what is right, even when it is unpopular, and courage, like any muscle, gets stronger with practice. The more we lead with integrity, the more natural it becomes. Leadership is also deeply human. It is built on connection, humility, and service. People don't follow titles, they follow trust. They follow leaders who make them feel seen, heard, and valued. They follow those who inspire them to become better, not through pressure, but through example. The best leaders understand that their role is to bring out the potential in others. When a leader helps others grow, the entire team rises. Anyone can become this kind of leader. It doesn't matter where you start. What matters is your willingness to learn, to try, to fail, and to try again. Leadership is a journey, not a destination. It is built in small daily decisions, to listen deeply, to act with integrity, to keep improving. It is the belief that the future can be better and the commitment to help create it. You don't need to be born a leader, you simply need to choose to learn it, practice it, and live it. When you lead with intention and heart, leadership stops being a title and becomes a legacy. Inner stability is the foundation of true leadership because people don't follow titles, they follow trust. When a leader is calm, steady, and grounded, others feel safe in their presence. They don't react emotionally to every problem. They don't make decisions out of fear or ego. Instead, they lead with clarity and confidence, even when everything around them seems uncertain. Inner stability is not the absence of pressure. It is the ability to remain centered in the midst of it. When a leader is anchored in strong values and a clear sense of purpose, they become a source of strength for everyone they serve. The most influential leaders are not the loudest or the most charismatic. They are the ones who remain consistent. People know what to expect from them. They don't change their attitude based on who is watching or what is happening. This consistency builds trust, and trust builds influence. When a leader is emotionally stable, they make better decisions because they are not controlled by stress or frustration. They listen before they speak. They seek to understand before they judge. They don't create drama, they create direction. Their calm presence spreads calm to others, which allows teams to think clearly and work together more effectively. Inner stability also means mastering self-awareness. Great leaders know their strengths, but they also know their weaknesses. They don't pretend to be perfect, and they don't hide their humanity. Instead, they are honest and humble. They reflect on their emotions, learn from their mistakes, and adjust when necessary. This level of maturity invites trust because people feel safe being honest with someone who is honest with themselves. The leaders who avoid self-reflection often become unpredictable. The leaders who embrace it become reliable. A grounded spirit allows leaders to stand firm in their values, even when there is pressure to compromise. They don't chase approval or validation. They don't need to prove themselves. They know who they are and what they stand for, and that clarity gives them strength. When a leader can say no with conviction and yes with intention, people respect them. Influence grows when a leader's words and actions match. When character is stable, leadership becomes powerful. Inner stability also fuels patience. Great leadership is not about reacting quickly. It's about responding wisely. It's about taking the time to understand people, to listen to concerns, and to build relationships. A leader who is calm under pressure can de-escalate conflict and create solutions. They don't rush to blame, they search for growth. This mindset inspires loyalty because people want to follow someone who believes in progress more than perfection. Ultimately, influence is not given, it is earned, and it is earned through consistency, emotional maturity, humility, and unwavering values. When a leader is anchored on the inside, they can lead with strength on the outside. Inner stability doesn't just make a leader strong, it makes them trustworthy, and in leadership, trust is the greatest influence of all. ChatGPT said, leadership is not about standing above others, it's about standing with them. The greatest misconception about leadership is that it is about control, authority, and power, but true leadership is rooted in service. It is the decision to put the needs of others before personal gain. A leader does not ask, how can people make me successful? Instead, they ask, how can I help people succeed? Service-based leadership is not weakness, it is the highest form of strength. It requires humility, compassion, and the courage to prioritize people over pride. When leaders lead with empathy, they don't push others forward. They walk beside them and create an environment where everyone can thrive. People don't willingly follow someone who dominates them. They may obey out of fear, but fear destroys creativity, loyalty, and trust. Influence built on intimidation is temporary. Real influence is earned through care, consistency, and respect. A servant leader listens before they act. They make decisions with people, not just for them. They understand that every voice matters. Instead of demanding excellence, they develop it. Instead of taking credit, they share it. People feel seen, valued, and understood in their presence, and that is what inspires genuine commitment. When people feel safe, they give their best. When they feel controlled, they give only the minimum. Service in leadership also means being willing to do the hard work behind the scenes. True leaders don't chase recognition, they build results. They remove obstacles, provide resources, and protect their team from unnecessary pressure. They take blame when things go wrong and give others credit when things go right. They create opportunities for growth, encourage honest conversations, and give feedback with kindness and clarity. Leadership is not about being served, it's about serving in ways that help others grow into their full potential. Empathy is the driving force of service-based leadership. It's the ability to understand what others are experiencing and to respond with compassion. Empathy does not mean avoiding hard truths. It means communicating them with care. When leaders take time to understand the people they lead, their strengths, fears, goals, and motivations, they can guide them more effectively. They don't treat people as tools to reach a goal. They see them as human beings worthy of dignity and purpose. This kind of leadership builds teams that are resilient, loyal, and united. The most powerful leaders aren't the ones at the top. They're the ones who lift others up. When leadership shifts from control to service, everything changes, trust grows, communication improves, innovation increases. People take ownership because they feel empowered rather than controlled. And when people are empowered, they don't just follow a leader. They become leaders themselves. Leadership is not about having authority. It's about having responsibility. It's about using your influence to make things better for others. The leaders who serve are the leaders people remember. They don't leave a legacy of fear. They leave a legacy of impact. In the end, leadership is not measured by how many people obey you, but by how many people you helped rise. Leadership is not a destination. It is a daily discipline. So many people wait until they feel ready, confident, or perfect before they step forward. But leadership doesn't require perfection. It requires participation. Growth does not come from avoiding mistakes. It comes from learning through them. Every challenge, every setback, every uncomfortable moment is training. Leaders are not shaped by easy days. They are shaped by the hard ones. The ones where they had to make decisions without all the answers, keep going when they felt uncertain, and stay calm when things didn't go as planned. Leadership improves through repetition, through showing up again and again, even when it feels difficult. Like any skill, the more we practice it, the more natural it becomes. The idea of perfection is one of the greatest barriers to leadership. It convinces us that we must have everything figured out before we act. But the best leaders didn't start with confidence. They developed confidence by taking action. They spoke even when their voice shook. They tried even when they felt unqualified. They learned through experience, reflection, and consistent effort. Growth is not about never failing. It's about failing forward. Every time we adjust, improve, and try again, we become stronger. Excellence is the result of practice, not perfection. Leadership is built in small daily choices. It's in how we treat people when no one is watching. It's in how we handle feedback, how we respond to pressure, how we recover when things fall apart. Repetition turns values into habits and habits into character. The more we practice patience, the more natural it becomes. The more we practice empathy, the more deeply we connect. The more we practice courage, the less fear controls us. Over time, those repeated actions shape the leader we become. Challenges are not obstacles to leadership. They are opportunities to refine it. When things go wrong, average leaders look for excuses. Great leaders look for lessons. They ask, "What is this teaching me? How can I grow from this?" They don't run from difficulty, they use it as fuel. They understand that pressure reveals what still needs work. Just like muscles grow through resistance, leadership grows through the weight of responsibility. The more we carry, the stronger we become. Repetition also builds resilience. When we lead consistently, even when it's hard, we build trust with others and with ourselves. We start to believe in our ability to handle uncertainty because we've done it before. We start to lead with confidence because we've earned it through action. Over time, leadership becomes less about what we do and more about who we are. The truth is, leadership is a process of becoming. You don't need to be perfect to lead. You just need to be willing to grow. Practice turns effort into excellence and experience into wisdom. Every moment is a chance to get better. Every challenge is training. The leaders who keep practicing, who keep showing up, and who keep learning are the ones who ultimately make the greatest impact.